Oh my gosh, guys, here we go. This is it. It's kind of hard to believe. The playoffs start tomorrow. End of the season. Overwatch League, season number 4. Perfect bracket. We're going for it. Here come the pick'ems. Remember? I remember this chat now. We're going for more 3-0s. This is 3 in Overwatch. We gotta stop saying every match is gonna be close. Alright? I'm just drilling it in my head. Alright, here we go. Here's the teams. Here's how the bracket is shaken out. Based on, who the teams all picked, which was absolutely shocking. The selection show for me was a very, very big surprise, with Shanghai picking San Francisco right away, saying, yeah, defending champs last 2 years. Let's get them out of here early. But, like I said, we got 8 teams. We got double elimination format. Essentially the exact same format as Season 2, which I love. I think this is the best format that they've done of all of the leagues. We had a different format last season with the Final Four type, and then we had this last 6 teams with the double, best of 3, best of 5 matches in Season 1. I didn't hate those, but this one is my favorite, so I'm super stoked that it's back. All right. Here we go. You can see the matchups right here. We got the lower bracket. We're going to run through it all. See if we can win that 100K real quick on the perfect bracket. That's insane. Getting everything to a map, that would be absolutely nuts. But we're going to start off with the banger first. San Francisco Shock Shanghai Dragons. What can you say? I mean, Shanghai, best overall team probably this season. San Francisco, 2-time defending champs. So I think Shanghai wins this one. I think they win it 3-1. I'm just gonna trust their coaching staff. Again, I would not have picked San Francisco personally if it was me. That's a giant that you're poking at. And remember, in Season 2, San Francisco did lose their first match. They lost it heartbreaker to Atlanta 4-3. In Season 2, it was best of 7, all of these matches. As you can see, for this, it's just it's best of 5 right away instead of 7. But San Francisco then made that perfect steamroll 4-0 run through the entirety of the losers bracket before winning the grand finals in dominant fashion. So could we maybe see the same thing? I don't know. But what I do know is Shanghai, they've just been a bit better this season. San Francisco, we have to admit that they haven't had the same prowess as the last few seasons, making no trips to Hawaii. Yes, won the first, for Melee, they lost in the knockoffs to Dallas, who went on to win the whole thing. They lost to Gladiators before this last tournament, the Countdown Cup. Gladiators went on to win it. But still, this is it. This is the top 8 teams. This is the elite of the elite. So I got the Dragons taking it. Gonna be interesting, but at the same time, San Francisco's support line has been a little bit strange. We've seen FD God kind of fall out of the rotation completely. With Lucio being a little bit more prevalent, I do think we'll see a reappearance from him. But the last meta was tailored for supports and for the double flex support. We saw Gladiators win with that, with Skewed and Shu, who are both flex supports. Neither of them are main supports, and it should have been perfect for San Francisco, and it didn't pan out. So they haven't quite had the magic yet this season, and Shanghai is the proverbial favorites going into this tournament. So I think that they're going to start off really strong and send San Francisco down to that losers bracket again. Now we have the matchup that made me almost puked when I saw that the Gladiators, who did not get to pick in the selection show, they got the last one, and the team that the others did not want to play was Philly. And for those of you who have been following the channel for a while and have been following Overwatch League, pretty closely for a while, that Philadelphia has been the bane of my existence and the bane of the Gladiators' existence. Every time they play in the playoffs, Philly would win. Every time they play in the regular season, Philly would win. This is it's a relatively new team from Gladiators. They're basically all new from last year or this year. So hopefully there isn't like a boogeyman thing. But for me, as the hardcore Gladiator fan I am, my heart literally dropped when I saw this matchup. But I'm picking with my heart here, Gladiators. Okay, Gladiators don't 3-0 people. 3-1, get them out of here. Back to the losers bracket with you guys. It's going to be interesting because we haven't seen Philly in the actual playoffs yet. This season, we've seen them kind of rotate a couple of players. They were unable to use a couple of their players due to COVID, and visa issues stemming from that. But Gladiators, huge momentum going their way. Won the Countdown Cup. You talk about metas changing possibly for Lucio. You bring in Moth, which is a great sub in. So Moth and Shu still forms an exceptional duo. We have two tanks who are very flexible. Space. Any off tank that you're gonna expect to be good, he's really good at. Whether it's the Sigma, whether it's the Diva. It won't be Hog, so we don't even need to talk about that. Maybe Zarya in like very key situations, but even so, he's really good at Zarya as well. So a lot of flexibility there. We talked about the support line. Kevster and Burring being, getting all the play time. Like with respect to Mirror, it's really changed this team. And we've seen just the absolute dominance that both of those guys can display and the consistency that they both display as well. So Gladiators, they've just been better all season, and I'm going to trust that they're going to be better now. I really like their coaching staff. I think that they're going to aptly prepare them for this, and coming off that big victory, they're going to set themselves up with an early matchup against the Dragons. Washington Justice versus Dallas Fuel. Dallas Fuel were like, okay, Washington, we choose you. As we know, last year Washington knocked Dallas out of the play-ins. Decay was on Dallas and switched over to the Justice. And got his revenge, and Justice went on their extended run with Dallas going home. So I think this is a revenge match for Dallas for sure. Again, some of the team is different, but they're gonna be looking to fire on all cylinders. It's a Dallas team they've slowed down a bit. They haven't had quite the success in the last few tournaments, but I think that they're going to be fully ready to go. They're just going to be foaming at the mouth to get into this game. I think we see a decent amount of Winston. I think we have a very, very prepared Dallas team. All of the support rotation, they've got down. I have no worries about their support line. We know about the DPS. Could we potentially see Pine? He's available to use. Either way, Dallas smash. Just smashes them 3-0. We've seen this Washington team look incredibly dominant against some teams, and then they're absolutely listless in other games. I think Dallas hits them early. They hit them hard right in the jaw, and they're just going to crumble into pieces. And Dallas is going to take the 3-0 there and get themselves into the winners round 2. Atlanta Reign Chengdu Hunters. Now, this is a very, very interesting one. Atlanta, really, really good showings in NA. Really, really bad showings in Hawaii the last couple of times. We saw Hunters dismantle them the last few tournaments. So you would think Hunters, I'm going to go for a crazy 3-2 upset with Atlanta shocking a lot of people. And I really like Chengdu, but I have a feeling about this one. And Atlanta's going to take some of those experiences. They're going to have their full lineup at their disposal. They're not going to have Pelican on ping, and they're going to take advantage of it and win a crazy, super entertaining matchup. And like I said, surprise a lot of people and get 3 NA teams into that round 2 of the winners bracket. So we're going to go for elimination round 1. That would set up San Francisco Shock versus Philadelphia Fusion. And this would be ironic because for as much as the Fusion are the Gladiators' boogeyman, Shock is the same way for Fusion. The Shock had shunted down Philly and, put them in their place as number 2 for the last few years. So for Philly, kind of like, oh boy, it's these guys again. I got San Francisco here. Score-wise, Philly is really good at taking one map, but I think San Francisco is just a bit better. They're still more proven. I don't trust Philly. Obviously there's something to them being the last pick. There has to be something to that. There's something that these other teams and coaches have seen that obviously I can't see because I'm not in scrims and I don't have access to the footage that they have. So there's something brewing with Philly, I think. But I still think there are two and out just because they're going to be playing against two incredibly tough teams. We're going to see that backbone. We're going to see the championship pedigree come out for San Francisco. I cannot see them losing both of their first two matches. So they're going to find a way. They're going to take a lot of stock, a lot of information from the first match, and they're just going to be a bit better than Philly once again in this, in their history, and they're going to move on. And for Justice Hunters, once again, I think we're going to lose an NA team here. I think the Hunters, they're better. Washington, I'm going to say they take two here, though. No 3-0 this time. Again, Justice are a team that I feel like they'll get off to a good start in this game. And they are very, very much momentum-based. But I think that the Hunters are they're going to have a map where Leave just absolutely carries the day. And they're going to translate that into some momentum, and then the Justice aren't going to quite be able to come up with it. Hunters have shown a lot of in-game adaptability. As we saw in the Gladiator Grand Final when they got pummeled maps 2 through 3, were down 3-1, and then they battled back, made some adaptations, and sent it to Game 7 and nearly won that Game 7. So Hunters are going to keep rolling here, and they're going to get themselves on the board with a win. Back to the winners, we got Shanghai, we got Gladiators. Oh, you betcha. Hi, kid. So for this one, bear with me here. I think this is a 3-0 for Shanghai. Gladiators have not seen Shanghai yet. And one thing the Gladiators have not faced a lot of is ball. And Shanghai, while they have some similarity to Chengdu, I think that they're going to have a couple of styles that are completely out of the realm of Gladiators' imagination almost. They're obviously going to be able to look at film. They're going to be studied. But when it gets into actual game time, I think Shanghai's going to run away with it. And this isn't to say that, these teams are super unbalanced. I think that they're pretty similar skill-wise. But Shanghai has been so good at reading NA teams, and overall, NA teams are a little bit more predictable when it comes to compositions in the beginning. And while yes, Gladiators are going to be off of, I predict a win against one of the Eastern teams. I have a feeling that this is going to be a rough matchup for Gladiators the first time. If they play again, it might be a different story. But I got a 3-0 in this one. And then, speaking of 3 in Overwatch, Dallas is going to keep rolling. 6 for 6. I got them just pub stomping Atlanta. Again, these teams have matched up a lot. And Dallas, for me, they're just better communication-wise. Just straight up, Atlanta still has those minor hitches, and you can blame it on the mixed roster, you can blame it on they have a couple of new players this season, but Dallas they have the friendship power. We talked about it in the first couple of stages. Their communication, I still think, is the best in the entire league. I don't think that their raw skill is quite there. Their raw skill is up there, but it's always the communication for Dallas. They always punish. They always disengage when they need to. They always re-engage when they need to. And again, I'm not going to be swayed by the lackluster performance that they put out, in the last knockouts and in the last stage as a whole, because this is playoffs now. They're absolutely locked in. We saw how terrifying this Dallas team was the first two stages, winning the first and nearly winning the second. So they're a bit of a different level from Atlanta for me, and I think that they move on pretty easily. So then that would set up a couple of great rematches: San Francisco Shock, Atlanta Reign. San Francisco 3-1. I don't think you get rid of them yet. I think they're gonna start to begin a little bit of momentum here. Atlanta, after losses, they've struggled we saw the last couple of times in the Countdown Cups, they haven't been able to bounce back the way that you would hope that they would. So San Francisco, again, just a bit better here. I think that by this point in the playoffs, we're going to have Nero, who's been really consistent, has honestly proven me wrong because I thought he'd be a bit of a weak spot coming into this season, and he has not been. And I think that either Ons or Glister, it could be either one. I think one of them is going to be really, really locked in and on a hot streak, and that's going to be absolutely terrifying for other teams. I think Krusty's going to make the right decision and just go with one of them. I don't really care who it is, but they need more consistent playing time. We've seen what the two DPS rotations have done when the 3-man is good for the regular season, but when it gets down to tournament time, the proven ones, it's always 2. For Dallas, the same 2 all season, Doha Sparkle. For Shanghai, all season, Fleta and Lip. For Gladiators, we saw them have their most success now when they went to just the 2, Kevster and Birdring. So I think San Francisco is rolling at this point, and they get a nice victory there. And then this is a really, 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 really tough one. I'm gonna go with my Gladiators here. I think they take it 3-2. Again, not a ton of 3 in Overwatch, but come on. In this one in particular, I think it goes down to the wire. And again, it's gonna be tough. It really is. We saw these teams match up, and Gladiators took a couple, and Chengdu was with them pretty much every step of the way. So down to the wire. I trust Gladiators' support line a bit more. That's really it. That's really what it comes down to. As good as the Hunters have been, they have these little, slight, just missteps. And they're at this level, when we get down to, this nitty-gritty with, at this point 3 teams would be eliminated already, I think it's just the little things. And the Gladiators have taken the biggest strides in the little things these last couple of matches, and that's going to be the difference. It's going to be back and forth. We're going to see some momentum swings. We're going to see some crazy stuff probably from Jinmu and Leave, but the consistency of Kevster and Birdring combined with their tanks, I think is just a slight edge for Gladiators, and they keep their season alive. So as you can see, it would be down to these 4. We'll go winners final. Shanghai versus Dallas. For me, I've hyped up Dallas a lot. 2-3-0s right away. I think they get off to a good start, and Shanghai reels them in. Again, I'm trusting Shanghai more than anybody else this season because they have done what's most impressive in Overwatch for me. In the game of Overwatch, as somebody who has played it for thousands of hours, and obviously has never played it on the level of these guys, but as somebody who's watched so much competitive Overwatch, there's a reason why 3 in Overwatch is a thing. There's a reason why there were so many 4-0s in the first season of the league. Overwatch is the most momentum-based game that there is, in my opinion. Another big one of that is Valorant. You see teams go to defense and win 10 in a row, or same thing with offense. And go 11-1 and come back from being down, say 3-9 or something crazy like that. But Overwatch is very much so. It is so hard as a team to, if you're getting rolled early on, to make the correct changes, to stay focused, even for the professionals. It's incredibly hard. We see the tilt creep in. We see them give in. And Shanghai just doesn't have that in them this season. And I think Dallas is right up there with them, where they've also made some really good changes. But Dallas is more of, they've perfected a couple of different ways to play. And it goes towards, they have a couple of compositions where they're just better. They're the absolute best in the league. But Shanghai is more versatile. And in this double elimination format, with every hero available, obviously we're going to settle on a meta. We always settle on a meta. It's not like the meta's going to change, match to match. Well, maybe match to match in the beginning, but once it settles, teams are going to be consistent with it. That's just what we've seen. And depending on what that is, it could be something that's not quite as strong for Dallas. And I just have more faith that the Dragons are going to be really, 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 really good at whatever is run out there. So I think that they make the run without losing one, and they send Dallas into that elimination final. But it's going to be a really entertaining one. And then we go to Gladiators versus Shock. Gladiators 3-0, literally just built fucking different. That's what I'm going to go for. They have the clutch this season. They've got it in their veins, not San Francisco. San Francisco's going to show that grit. But honestly, Gladiators, they're just better. They've been better all season, and I'm going to trust that they're going to just be better again. They're not going to choke. They're not going to pull any of that crap, and they're going to do it. They're going to finally get over that proverbial hump, and they're going to punch their way into the elimination final. Now, it doesn't want us to get to the edge here, which is unfortunate. Technical difficulties. Huh. Well, there's no way to show it. So, elimination final. Gladiators, Fuel. What it comes down to, these are two evenly matched teams. Really, really good. It's going to be fascinating to see if Pine has been played by this point, or if Dallas feels confident enough that no matter what the meta is, they can stick with their Doha Sparkle combo. But once again, it might be from the heart more than the head. But I'm going Gladiators. I think that it's really close. It probably goes to map 5. But I just like Gladiators' support line and DPS line a little bit more. I'm going to be completely honest. Overall, team-wise, I think Dallas is probably a little bit better. Again, the synergy and the communication are just a little bit better. But I think that the Gladiators win because they're going to just make a couple more carry plays. We're going to see Shu just be a freaking mad lad. Just absolutely go off in a couple of places. We're going to see just a little bit more from the DPS Kevster Birdring duo rather than the Doha Sparkle one. And that's going to be the difference. They're going to be evenly matched enough that the communication will take Dallas over on a map, probably a 2CP map. But on stuff like Control and on the Escort maps, where stuff gets really scrappy, the Gladiators are they're going to be able to make just enough plays to win this one. And it should be extremely entertaining if this is the matchup we get. But I do think that they will come out victorious. Next, you got that would set up Shanghai versus Gladiators for all of the marbles. So I have Shanghai beating them 3-0. Winners round 2. Do I think the same thing will happen? Oh, I'm so dumb. I was, to be fair, I was trying to do that before, but I think there's something else to click on. But sorry, I'm an idiot. 3-2 there. So first of 4 grand finals. As far as I know, there's no clause for let's see if Gladiators win if Gladiators win, it's over. There's no special perk to being from the winners final, except you'll get map choice for map number 1. So if this is the matchup we get, I think it's going to go down as an all-timer. I think no matter what grand finals we get, it's probably going to go down, in history. It's going to be really, really good and really, really close. It'll be teams that are battered, that are bruised. Maybe the winners one not as much. They'll have played at least one less match, if not 2. But it's pretty much a coin flip. honestly, without having the exact foresight of what exactly is going to be getting played. If this is the matchup, it's got to be just comes down to one ultimate here, one ultimate there, a little bit of time management there. One snowball that worked out well for one team. So I truly do think it's a coin flip. I think there's going to obviously be adjustments made in match. We talked about both of these teams being really good at doing that. It probably won't go to 7. Grand finals usually don't. Countdown Cup was a bit of an exception. We also had, when Shanghai beat Dallas, that was another one that went 7. But historically, we've seen a lot of 4-0s or 4-1s, 4-2 last season. But it's got to go to 7. If it's coin flip, I'm going with my guys. Maybe I'm a little bit too overconfident after seeing the Countdown Cup. Obviously this is a bit of a different meta with some of those heroes being available like Sigma and Lucio. But I think you could toss a coin between 3-4 of these teams. And I'm just going to go with Gladiators because I've seen the most from them recently. Pick it with my heart here because, I really like the makeup of this team. I really do. I think that the Gladiators, the Dragons, and the Fuel are the 3 teams that have the absolute best just overall team, I hate saying is vibes. It sounds kind of dumb and simple, but I think it actually does go such a long way. So toss up between any of those teams for me. But once again, picking as a fan here, because the analyst side of me was looking at it, and I was like, there's this, but then that, the ball comps, but then we can see a rush that can counter. But the Fleta effect, though, Bird Ring has been, mega clutch in every, map clinching, or in every match clinching map. So, you could flip and flop all day long, but I'm going to stick with my guns. I'm going to go with my LA Glads. I think that we're going to get a different champion. Obviously, if anyone but San Francisco wins, we're going to get a new overall champion because San Francisco and London are the only teams who have won. And obviously, London not in this tournament. So, I think I've gone on long enough. This is a super long video as we had a lot to get into. Look for some reactions and breakdowns as the playoffs go on. Obviously, they're starting tomorrow. So, if you can, watch. As we see, starting out with Justice Fuel is going to be our first one. Then we got Gladiators Fusion, Shock Dragons, and then Atlanta Chundu finishing it off tomorrow. And then we go to, the elimination round 1 and the winners round 2 Wednesday, going Thursday as well before we cap off elimination round 3 finals, winner finals, for 24th. Winners finals 23rd, so they get a winner of this will get a full day off, and then Saturday it all comes down to that grand finals. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. You should be able to share down in the comments if you wish your brackets. Let me know what you're thinking. Do you have the perfect bracket set up? What do you think of mine? Think it's totally whack? Think it's pretty close? I'm very curious. We're gonna submit here. We're gonna be watching the leaderboard, see where we are all weekend long. But yeah, other than that, as always, thank you guys so very much for watching. Not the last video of the season, but one of the very last videos for the season. So thanks for sticking around all year long. Been an absolutely phenomenal season in my opinion. Been a huge bounce back since after a kind of shaky thrown off the rails due to COVID season 3. But yeah, love you guys. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Have yourselves an absolutely wonderful week, and I'll see you in the next one. Gotta submit first. Last time we didn't. Alright, bye now.